Exactly.
That's headroom. Yes, that was wonderful.
Yeah, that was a fun show. All right, so as soon as this is streaming, I will probably get a notification. I think downloads. Huh. Okay, downloads. I am not seeing. Wait a
I
minute. What's
am. We
this?
are. Meeting is now being live streamed on Facebook.
Okay. Well, yeah, I don't see where it is on Facebook, but I will trust it. I'll trust it. And I think it's time to just kind of get going right now. And welcome to the Life Writing Podcast. Or right, actually, no, to Fire Dance. I do the Life Writing Podcast yesterday. I'm going to record this too. Okay, great. So it's recording on Facebook, it's recording on my laptop, and I just wanted to thank everybody for being here, and to say that I'm really interested in exploring, continuing to explore a door that I opened last week, or maybe it was even the week before that, which was I'm always researching, always trying to find you good stuff. What's the best stuff I can bring you? And I accidentally came across the original audio. It was an LP, a record, a 33 and a third record originally, that my mom played for me when I was like 10 years old. And she played it for me endlessly, to the point where it sank in at a very, very deep level. So that was Think and Grow Rich, and it was done by the original book was written by Napoleon Hill, and the audio was done by Earl Nightingale. And it's only 40 minutes long, and so you've got this 10 hours of incredibly powerful information about
Vitamin D.
personal development that you can absorb in 40 minutes and take a look at the overall structure of it. And I am, because of that, because the cost benefit ratio is so huge, and because it's such an important part of my life. I mean,
Weirdly,
literally, when I
been
began,
eating so much cheese. I think that
what,
like brought my vitamin D up more than even milk.
okay, I'm going to need to mute. Okay, great. Mute everybody. That when I began to try to build a writing career, it was Think and Grow Rich that I went to. Just like, how do I do this? So let's open, everybody unmute yourselves and say hi to everybody. High five and say hi.
Hi,
Just
everybody.
Hello,
Oh,
everybody. Good to
hey.
That's
see
right.
you all or
Yeah.
hear you.
Hi,
Hello.
Happy
everybody.
Saturday.
there you go.
Hello, hello.
Great. And what I
Hello.
want you to do is in the chat, talk to each other, share, let each other know who you are. And if you have needs, put it out there. This is, it's really important. This is your time. And we've gotten big enough and mature enough that you guys are actually helping each other. Before I go any further, I would love to open the floor to my beautiful lady wife, Tananarive Dim, who is here today. She's not always here.
Oh, everybody, how are you? Good to see you, everybody. Yeah, I'm just, if you got my newsletter today, which granted it only went out an hour ago, but you probably heard that I am on a writing tear. So I can barely pull myself out of my book, which is great because usually it's the other way around. I can barely pull myself out of life to go back to my book. So it's a good feeling and I'm enjoying it. And it's good to see everybody.
Good to see you too. And looking forward to this. And then we're going to go for Mother's Day and we're going to go see a play
Yes, we
tonight,
are.
right?
Yep.
Okay, that's
Yes, we
great.
are. At the Geffen.
We saw, we saw Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes last night, which
So
it
fun.
was
Oh my
fun. Yeah,
God,
it
it
was
was
fun.
so good. Listen, if you've seen the other ones and I thought the second one even was pretty good. This was incredible. I wish it had been the first one, honestly. It felt like the bridge between my childhood and a reboot that I didn't even know I could have. So that was fun.
So, what I want to do, because we have a lot that we can do today, and I'm hoping to have a lot of interaction with you. Um, what what I've given you, the basics, the most important basic is the breathing. Because for whether you're talking about mentally or emotionally or physiologically, it hits the reset button. And if you can exert that much discipline, 5 minutes of discipline a day, in essence, we can leverage that into an amazing life. That's my position. Now, there are basic things there that are contained with this. I try to keep it below 7 pieces because the human mind can take seven plus or minus, can juggle 7 plus or minus 2 pieces of information at a time. So with Jason, it's like, oh no, with you guys and connecting it with Jason, it'd be like the 5 minute miracle and magic and the morning ritual and the 3 gates and the 3 centers. And when the ancient child is in there too. And there are other things that are extremely important or extremely valuable. The fear removal technique and talking to the tree and core transformation, depending on what it is that you need. But one thing that is true is that if you begin to try to change yourself in any substantive fashion, it's going to cause stress. It simply will. It simply does. And so if you've got a stress coping mechanism built into your system, like the morning ritual and the 5 minute miracle, then looking at the magic formula, stress will come up as you compare your usage of this to your life, what the way it should be, that the idea that if you lack even one of those 5 things, you're killing your chances across all 5 of them is a real eye opener. If you don't have a map, if you're not taking action, if you don't manage your emotions positively, if you have no clear goal, and if you don't believe that accomplishing your goal is in alignment with your values, you're screwed. You can't do it. So you have to have at least a 1 in each of those categories. But once you do that, the question is, okay, now I'm on the path of genuine development. If I'm using the 3 gates and the 3 centers, the 3 centers keep you from moving towards your goal in a way that damages you, your health, and your family. And plenty of people have damaged their health and their families trying to get external success. So you want to protect yourself by saying that our health, our love, and our ambitions are all equally important. They're all part of the same thing. So that protects you. The 3 gates protects other people from you. I mean, as kind of a basic, it ensures that you're always thinking, is this not just true, but is it kind and is it useful? And I find that those who care about those 3 things make different decisions. It's a little bit like saying I want to succeed as opposed to saying I want to succeed and have fun in the process. That the one is capable of people are capable of doing it and grinding themselves into jelly. But if you're saying and have fun in the process, that you start asking different questions. Well, what would be entertaining about this? What would be stress-free about this? So if you've got those 5 things, and we've gone over the magic formula enough that I think everybody kind of understands, and if you don't understand it, please, ask questions. The first letter of the magic formula is map or model. So what I cannot do is create a prescription that works precisely for everyone. In that sense, the magic formula is like vitamins. It's the basic building blocks that you use in order to build a life. But if you have a specific need, you're going to need a specific map. If you specifically wanted to run the Boston Marathon, it's saying find people who've run the Boston Marathon starting from where you are in terms of your fitness and physical capacity. If you wanted to find love, the magic formula, it said, well, find people who've had successful relationships and find out what they're doing. If you want to deal with love, self-love, research until you find someone who was hurt in some ways that are similar to ways that you were hurt. How did they heal themselves? So you start getting some specificity. And the same thing is true about money. And this is where the Think and Grow Rich comes up. I've had a very successful career by most standards. And there are times I've made a lot of money. We're doing just fine. But it would be dishonest for me to say I've mastered money. You know, I'm not a multimillionaire. You know, I know multimillionaires. I would study them. How did they do that in this profession? How do they do that in this profession? How do they do that in the arts, et cetera, et cetera? If you study people who are successful as writers, that's one level. If you back up and say, well, how about just artists in general? You're going to learn different things. You know, it's because writing is specific. If I then said science fiction writing, that's even more specific. So you want to be able to move back and forth between being very specific about what it is you're trying to accomplish and understand what the more general principles are as well. Okay, once you understand those general principles, you start saying, how do these relate to the specific arena? So move back and forth between sort of the general, you know, how do I succeed in life? And the three gates, you know, to care about what is true and kind and useful is a very nice general view of this with a huge amount of specific application once you dig in. The magic formula, same way. I find myself totally believing in it. I use it every single day. But if I want specifics about applying it to writing to make my writing better, then I'm going to want to have conversations with Larry Niven. I mean, he just got finished reading my Star Wars novel and he had comments about it. And I may not follow every one of his comments, but my God, it's useful hearing what he has to say. And by the way, it looks like Larry will be a guest on Fire Dance in a couple of weeks because we're going to be in the same place at the same time. So if we'll try to find the questions that we can ask him that would be most useful for that. Okay. But at any rate, so what I want you to do, once you understand the magic formula and you don't have a zero in any of those categories, find a specific pattern for the specific thing you're trying to accomplish in your life. And now, instead of having well, let's see if I can put this illustration up on the screen here. And I'm still playing with understanding how to do this. Okay, so if you look at this drawing of a cube. If you were to just look at one line along this cube, you know, just three squares. Let's say that it was a cube of 5, that each of those squares would be one of aspect of the magic formula: map or model, action, gratitude, whatever. Admit. If you had a second standard, a second map, then it would become like this plus this. Now you've defined a two-dimensional, flat grid where you look at each of the aspects of the magic formula, but you look at them in relationship to the other map that you found. And obviously, one might say that once you've mastered that, then why not add a third map? And now you've got a three-dimensional space. You know, could you go 4 maps? But understand that it's more and more complex. And I wanted to address that complexity today. So, but before I get going on this, because it's gonna get interesting, I wanted to know: are there any comments, questions, or requests? Anybody want to raise their hand? Anything you want to bring up, dealing with having a win this week, or any questions that you have for me, or anything like that? So raise your hands. This is not a volunteer or you will be voluntold situation. This is a situation where I want to make very certain that the people here are getting what they need. So Megan seems to be raising her hand. Is Megan raising her hand? No, she's not raising her hand. Okay, so Nick Hovick. Hello, Nick.
There we go. A little trouble getting the mute button on.
So how you doing, buddy?
Well, apparently I'm not doing real well. I was taking a little nap, and right before I turned on Fire Dance, and I dreamed I'd hired somebody to kill me, and I was half asleep, and I'm dreaming I feel them putting the barrel of the pistol in my mouth, and suddenly realize I don't want to die, so I'm pushing it out of my mouth. And that's what woke me up.
So, is there a particular meaning that you think that dream has?
I want to die. I don't feel any joy in life anymore.
Okay, so your primary goal is to find your connection to joy, and that
Yeah.
is, man, I empathize with that completely. So the first thing I would ask you is, are you doing the breathing?
I've been doing it occasionally when I remember to,
Okay,
on
so
however.
I need you to set the alarm on your phone
Oh,
or on
okay.
a watch so that every 3 hours at a minimum, and actually from where you are right now, I would do it every hour. That's just 12 to 15 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Is just every hour, at the top of every hour, you stop and you breathe, do 60 seconds of deep, slow diaphragmatic breathing.
Okay.
Now, in because you have the right to joy, I mean, the meaning of life in that sense is to move away from pain towards joy and embrace service. So the primary thing is you're undergoing existential dread, existential pain. You're really feeling it right now. So the first thing you have to do is to be aware of the fact that you have the right to be happy. That happiness, joy, in and of itself is a goal. The rest of it will be gathering the resources. So one of the things I can promise you is that if you put it out here in chat, that you would like a buddy to help remind you, like every couple of days, that you check in with each other. Are you doing the breathing? Are you doing, I would suggest personally, breathing in the morning, look at the magic formula and the morning ritual, but start with the breathing. You don't have that integrated yet. Go ahead,
Where
you had a
where
question.
where am I going to find the magic formula in the
Well, I will tell you right now.
Okay, good.
First of all, you could go to the Steve AI, which is at talksteve.com,
Okay.
and you can ask it what is Stephen's magic formula, and
Okay.
it'll lay it out for you. But basically, it's map or model of what you want to achieve, and remember that your goal is joy. Okay,
Yeah.
so map or model, that means you need a map to how to get to joy, or a model of people who have dealt with similar issues that you have, who found joy. You need to be taking action, and so we've got a minimum action for you, which is the breathing. Okay, the map or model might also include a therapist. It's also your resource circle. It's people, it's ideas about how you're feeling. So if you're feeling that lack of joy, there's nothing wrong whatsoever. I would have a therapist in my resource circle
Can't
if
afford it right
suicidal
now.
ideation was starting to come to me. Okay,
Yeah.
because that means you're not connected to your life drive. We're not going to talk about the morality of suicide or anything like that. I'm going to talk to you about finding your way back to joy. My assumption is you would not have brought that up if you did not want to find your way to joy.
Uh, I don't
So
want to die. So I had
I understand
another
completely.
I had another dream earlier this morning. It's one of those vision dreams you get that you can't forget when you wake up. And this huge white tiger had run into this area. This right now it's a traffic circle overpass, but it's turned into a habitat. And he's standing on this huge boulder, and all the people are looking in from the gallery, all with their domesticated dogs, waiting, wanting to kill it. But it is surrounded by samoyeds, those white huskies that are all gathered to defend it, and that's where I woke up.
Yeah, I mean, you want to write these things out
I
so
did, yeah,
that you can keep track of them in a journal.
yeah.
And like I said, I would, if I was having suicidal ideation, I would definitely be speaking to a professional, as well as these other things that we're talking about here. So it's, map or model of in remembering that your intention is to be joyful, move away from pain towards joy. Daily actions that you can take. And one of those actions is a matter of generating gratitude. Now you have a big old zero right there, right now. Okay, you've lost that connection to a sense of wonder about life. So studying people who have been in similar situations, who found their joy one of the things you'll find is they find a way to be happy. They find a meaning to their life that gives them that leverage on themselves. The morning ritual is something we can talk about later on, but once again, you can ask the Steve AI that, so that I'm more than willing to go into any explanation. But basically, it is affirmations, visualization, and emotional flooding, thinking about things that make you happy and flooding yourself with it for from 10 to 20 minutes a day while you are moving. So for instance, while you are walking or dancing or anything that gets your endorphins going. So going back at the beginning then, it's map or model, action, gratitude, clear intentions. So one of the things that happy people have is that they're looking forward to something. They're enjoying the present moment and they're looking forward. Something could happen tomorrow that would make them happy. So your intentions need to be something. It's like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this thing called life? How, what is it about? You need to find a goal which makes you smile. It's like, I'd love to be able to travel to that place, see this person, help this family member, learn this skill, do this thing, change this. Find something that is worth getting up in the morning for. What would that be? But the first thing, once again, is your goal is to be happy. That's your first goal, that you actually have the right to set that as a goal. And the last thing is the C in the magic formula is coherence, congruence, courage. There's no word in the English language that quite touches this, but it's the sense that what you are doing is in alignment with your being, that who you are is being expressed in these actions.
Yeah.
I write because I'm a writer. I teach because I'm a teacher. I love getting things from it. I love money. I love this. I love that. But the major reason I do these things is this is just who I am. So that sense that your actions are in alignment with your soul is really valuable. Now, here's the thing. All you need is to make sure you don't have a zero in any one of, give yourself a score from 0 to 9 in each of those arenas, map or model, action, gratitude, intention, and congruence or coherence. Be sure you don't have a 0 in any one of them. If you have a 0 in any one of them, the entire equation zeroes out. It's a multiplicative equation. So you just need a little bit of clarity about the map or model. You need to take a little bit of action. You need to be able to feel a little bit of gratitude. You need to have a notion about your goal. You need to feel that these actions are in alignment with who you are, at least a little bit. Look to see where you have zeros. And what you have to do is be sure that every day you get at least a 1. If you get at least a 1, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. So what I want you to do is go into chat and ask for support. Find a buddy, find somebody, exchange emails, find somebody who will email you every few days. You email them, and what's going to be critical is you have to help them. That when we give away to other people, it's easiest for us to understand that we're part of this process called life. That by giving to you right now, I get it. I get to put myself in the space of possibility. You think I had horrible disappointment this week. There are always challenges. There's this, is that. I have to remind myself every day that life can be a beautiful place. And one of the things that makes it so, if the meaning of life is to move away from pain, embrace joy, and give service. So by helping others, we can get out of ourselves. That when I meet people, I go into a room, I'm not trying to get them to think I'm cool. I'm trying to find out who are the wonderful people in this room. There's somebody in this room who has real gifts. There's everybody in this room, there's something wonderful about them. I wonder what I can find out about the people in this room. And if you do that, the people in that room end up thinking that you are fantastic, because everybody's favorite subject is themselves. So by doing for others, you're doing for yourself. And if you will do that, then you just keep coming back here, man. And we're gonna give you the good energy anytime you come. Anytime you come, I promise you, we will not let you down, buddy. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So,
Thanks.
my very great pleasure. So, any other questions? Because I really do want to get into this today, but I want to make damn sure that I don't miss anybody who needs to talk to me directly. Anybody else? No? Okay, then let's get into it because we have some great stuff here today. Like I said, the the question, oh my gosh, cancel. I accidentally almost pushed the leave meeting button. Um, so what we're doing is we're taking a look at the book Think and Grow Rich, which was an analysis of the thought patterns and habit patterns, emotional patterns of unusually successful people, people who were basically billionaires back in the 1920s. And there was enough of a consistency to the way they behaved that Napoleon Hill was able to create a success system that he sold in about a dozen different ways in a dozen different books, plus lectures, plus other stuff. I mean, he had that one thing, but boy, oh boy, oh boy, did he ever use it. Okay, before I go into that, let's see. Otis Johnson raised his hands, so let's see what Otis has to say. Otis?
I mean, yeah, okay. Yeah, I've been reading that book, and what I like is that book keeps pointing out that, well, I guess the time it was written was directly after the Depression.
That's right.
And what I like is a lot of the book is talking about like the immediacy of this time right now. And you can't help read it, but see the parallels of us coming right out of pandemic and experiencing the same amount of opportunity.
That's right. I mean, there are. Is it a bull market? Is it a bear market? Somebody's getting rich no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Is it expanding? Is it contracting? Somebody's getting rich. Always keep your eyes on the people who started with fewer resources than you have and got further than you've gone.
Mm-hmm.
Get your ego out of it. There's always somebody who's done better with less. Always. So study those people. You're completely correct. Let's actually get into it.
Mm-hmm.
There's something I want to do. I'm going to put a different virtual background because what I want to do is explore the 13 principles uh, in the framework of the magic formula. So we're not just going to look at the 13 principles of Think Grow Rich. We're going to look at how do you find another pattern that is specific. Like, if you want to sell stories, you might look at the life writing 6-step process, or Ray Bradbury, or Octavia Butler, or whoever you happen to admire, their rules for how to be a successful writer. And you're going to look at these things. So let's take a look, and I'm going to share a screen. And here we go. Okay, so what we have are the 13 principles of success. And the first one is desire. You have to start with a burning desire to do something. And you can start with a small desire, a small amount of, I kind of want to, but the people who accomplish at high levels, man, they're on fire for it. I mean, they're crazy about it. They, anytime you stop them, they're talking to you about it. Now, that desire, if you're taking a look in terms of the magic formula, that's gratitude. That's the emotional section where you're doing the morning ritual and you're deliberately generating the emotions that you want. It's also modeling, that you want to model people who have clarity on what they really want more than anything else in life, that you find the single thing or maybe the three things. I have no problem with people choosing a goal in their physical, their emotional, and their intellectual, their financial. In fact, as you know, I kind of prefer that. But what you're going to find in the book Think and Grow Rich is he's going to talk about your definite chief aim. They're going to go to one thing that you really want. And that's okay. Understand that they're talking specifically about money. So, but the fact is that wealth is not defined by dollars. Wealth is also love and health and passion. Hold on for just a second. Let's see, Rebecca. Wait a minute. First, Nick. Nick? Is your hand still up? Was there something else you wanted to say, buddy? Unmute yourself.
No, I just forgot to take it down.
Okay, good. Okay, Rebecca Lillenfield.
Hi, sorry, to break in, I just wanted to tell the gentleman who is feeling suicidal to call 988, and that will connect you to the National American Suicide Hotline. They have trained counselors, and they can help you find, not only can they talk things out with you, but they can help you find either free or affordable services in your area.
That is great. Please put that in the chat as well.
Sure.
And that is exactly the kind of contribution that I want from my people here. We need to take care of each other. We need to hear what we're saying here and not be afraid to look directly at it. Okay? So thank you very much, Rebecca. All right. So the second thing is, the desire. In terms of magic formula, you need a desire and you need to learn how to specifically keep getting in touch with your desire. If you have enough desire, you don't need discipline. You'll have hunger. So the second thing you need is faith. Now, faith is a matter of you have to believe that you can do it. You have to believe that you can and should do it. If you don't believe that this is in alignment with your being, why would you do it? If you don't believe that it's possible for you to do it, why would you try? So the idea is, what are the useful beliefs here? One is that anything that I can conceive and believe I can achieve. That's a standard belief. Another one is that the universe does not cheat us. That if you have a goal that you can maintain in your heart over time, it is because something inside you has the capacity to bring it into existence. If you're visualizing a book, a story, and you want to get it out to the world, believing that there's something inside you that could actually do this is what will make you write every day. If you have a dream of being strong and you believe that you can earn a black belt or put on 20 pounds of muscle or whatever it is, then you'll take the actions. If you believe that you're worthy of love and that love is possible, then you will be willing to go through the therapy and the self-evaluation, anything else necessary to improve, to heal yourself. You have to believe. And the hero's journey suggests that faith is faith in one of three things: faith in ourselves, faith in our companions, which include our mentors, and faith in a higher power, or the ethical structure of the universe, or however you want to put that. But one of them is necessary. You are inevitably going to hit moments where it feels that you can't go any further, that you can't do any more. And it is critical that when you hit those moments, you have something that keeps you going. I can feel, oh my God, I don't see an answer to this. But I have faith that if I ask myself the right questions and go to sleep, that my unconscious mind will work it over as I'm sleeping, and in the morning I'll have an answer. I have faith in that, and it has basically worked like gangbusters for me. So what is faith in terms of the magic formula? It's the congruence, and it's also gratitude. When you have gratitude for the things that you've accomplished in the past, or the things that have happened for you in the past, it allows you to have faith in what's happening in the future. Auto-suggestion, the third one, is basically, on Facebook, there were several people who were talking about the fact that their parents did not support their efforts to become writers or to have the life that they wanted, or they were criticized and people said terrible things about them when they were kids. And they're still dealing with this as adults. They're still hearing those voices in your head. That's your programming. It's not your hardware, it's your software. Auto-suggestion is just saying that we can program ourselves, that we don't have to wait for somebody to say nice things to us. We can say nice things to ourselves. And what Octavia Butler did was she wrote out her goals in a very specific pattern. She loved Think and Grow Rich. We talked about it many times. She wrote out her goals in a very specific pattern, and she read them aloud morning and night. Now, this is almost a brute force approach to it. One can find things that have to do with neurolinguistic programming and shamanism and so forth that will take this to a different level. And the magic formula uses movement. So you are focusing visually, you're saying things auditorially, you are holding your body in a confident position, and you're moving all at the same time. So this is really powerful auto-suggestion stuff. Before I go any further, anybody, with the first three things, you can raise your hands if you want to, because I'm talking about building a grid where we're respecting the magic formula. We're also looking at the specific techniques to get money here, or to dive deep into a discipline to succeed at it. You can find many models. I'm just talking about how to combine them with the magic formula. So anybody can raise their hand right now if there's something specifically you wanted to ask. Otherwise, I'm going to keep going. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Raise your hands if anything comes up. Step 4. Specialized knowledge. Knowledge is not power. Action is power. Creating change is power. Knowledge that you can use to motivate yourself to action or to refine and improve the quality of your action is power. So in the magic formula, you get specialized knowledge about your arena, the thing that you want to succeed about, by studying models. You're looking for models and maps of how to get there. How does a person create a precipitate solution of this particular kind? How do you get to Chicago? How do you build a writing career? How do you lose weight? How do you find love? There's going to be general knowledge, and people make the mistake of thinking that if they have general knowledge, that somehow it improves their lives. No, if that knowledge does not motivate action and more effective action, that's useless knowledge. It's just, it's trivial pursuit. And we've all known people, and we've all been people who enjoyed collecting information that had no real impact on our lives. But boy, it's great to have that data. When people talk about, I've seen on Facebook, and just hear me talk, I don't have any problems that money wouldn't solve, people will say. So I would kind of say, well, show me the shelf of books in your house about how to get rich. If money is the only problem you've got, show me your shelf of books. If obesity was my only problem, I'd have a shelf of books. If love was my only problem, I'd have a shelf of books. That specialized knowledge, critical, general knowledge means nothing. Specialized knowledge, except, it might entertain you. There's nothing wrong with entertaining. We need stress reduction, but specialized knowledge is what will really move your life forward. The 5th step is imagination. To give shape, form, and action to desire, using synthetic imagination to combine specialized knowledge with ideas. So if you've taken, and these steps are developmental in some important ways. You start with desire. You be sure that you have the faith to do it. You learn how to program yourself so that you can compensate for negative programming that you've had in the past. Okay. You gain the specialized knowledge that will build to your in your arena, and then you allow yourself to go crazy and come up with ideas. Now, brainstorming ideas. When I was writing for television, and I still do, I would come up with 100 ideas to pitch to that show, and that's imagination in that sense. Creativity is just creating a bridge between your conscious and unconscious minds. Our unconscious minds go crazy every night dreaming. So all we need to do is to begin to make contact with there and then say, come up with 100 ideas that might conceivably help me, I don't know, knock this wall down, whatever it is. Most of the ideas will be nothing. You give yourself permission to have crazy ideas. You give yourself an assignment to come up with crazy ideas. Because if you come up with 100 ideas and you give permission for 90 of them to be crazy, it basically is going to be very difficult for you not to come up with at least 10 ideas that, something, this could actually work. Give yourself permission to be crazy. The specialized knowledge, let it bounce against itself. Because if you combine that with faith and autosuggestion, your unconscious mind is chewing at it, trying to find a way to make it happen. Organized planning is the next step. Once you've got, you've got ideas about this. And by the way, imagination, in terms of the magic formula, that's going to be action. One of the things you can do every day is to brainstorm ideas. And when you're studying maps and models, you've got that specialized knowledge so that connects. Organized planning. Once you've got an idea about what might work to solve your problem, because you have defined your problem clearly. Remember desire. You begin to create plans, because you're going to need to have plans and test those plans, and most of your plans will not work. But what they will do is they will give you feedback about what the world is. So you come up with a plan based upon a theory about life, something that you saw someplace in some map or model. You try it. How did it work? What happened? How did the world respond to you? You make an adjustment. Learn some more things, study some more people. Tomorrow we try again. So organized planning, keeping a journal is so wonderful for this sort of thing, because you just write down all your ideas and you come up with your plans and you write down what your results were. And if you do this in a journal and you keep a couple of years worth of journals, you can go back and see your own patterns and say, oh, okay, this worked, this didn't work. When I did this, I motivated myself to action. When I did this, I did not. You're in the process of learning how to control your own mind, if you can understand that. And if you can keep looking at how does desire, faith, autosuggestion, specialized knowledge, and imagination lead to organized planning? How does the magic formula influence organized planning? What are we doing? We're modeling people who could do it. We're keeping ourselves in a state of believing that we can do it. We have a clear intention, the I, okay? And we're taking action every day. That action is going to be one little piece of an organized plan. Number 7, decisions. In that book, it says something really interesting. It says that successful people tend to make decisions quickly and change them slowly, whereas unsuccessful people make decisions slowly and change them quickly. That when you make a decision and it turns into an organized plan using your imagination and the knowledge and so forth and so on, and take an action, you then get feedback from the universe about whether or not you were accurate. The person who makes a mistake every day and learns from that mistake will learn much faster and progress much faster than the person who makes only one mistake a week. You want to make a lot of mistakes, but you want them to be small enough that you can recover from them. That means you have to make decisions. People who can't make decisions don't have clear values. They don't have clear goals. They have conflicts in their values hierarchies. So the ability to make a decision rapidly is one sign that you are internally aligned. So in terms of, my writing, I knew what I wanted. Actually, what I really love is to not share this right now. I'd like to stop, take a breath, and have Tananarive come in. Are you there, baby?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
What am I
Would you
commenting on?
talk? Your decision. You made your decision at the age of 4. Earlier
Well,
than that.
it felt like my decision was made for me because I always wanted to write, and that was very, very clarifying. I feel like I popped out knowing I wrote on Baby Bobby on the back because you have to do, liner notes. I wrote Baby Bobby is a book about a baby. The author is Tananarive Due, and spelled author wrong. Of course, I was 4. But it does sort of stun me in retrospect to realize not only that I was exposed to so many books that I knew what a cover should look like, that you have the drawings and the captions on the inside, and on the back cover you have notes. I knew that from exposure, but I had decided that I was a writer. That, okay, this is what I am. This is how I walk in the world. And it wasn't until I was about 14, 10 years later, that I realized that writing could save my life. Now, that's a different thing than just having that drive and that determination. But even now, like Steve said, we had a disappointment this week. And if you read my newsletter, I poured that disappointment directly into working on my book, which is my heart space right now, which doesn't have to deal with at least as many gatekeepers. It's a much purer form of writing and expression than trying to work in Hollywood, which it just is what it is.
Here's what I would say about you, sweetheart. you may be, I've often said that you are the best prepared human being for the path that you decided that I've ever met in my life. And I think that we can't know whether or not such a thing as talent exists, but it might. But the one thing I will tell you is I think any 4 year old, anybody who started at the age of 4, that decided they wanted to do almost anything that was within human capacity, who learned one new thing about how to do that every day, by the time they were an adult, they would be magnificent.
And I'm seeing that in the fiction, this is a child, and writing this child's point of view is really putting me in touch with my, not just my inner child, but my memory of childhood. They're not quite the same thing, of that just bodacious, joy in expression, like not nervous in front of a crowd. Yeah, please bring an audience. I'm going to play my trumpet like I really know how to play this trumpet. And my parents were like, oh my God, look at her. I couldn't play worth a damn. But my expression of playing was so outsized for someone who was so young, that I see that in my character. Like she may not be the best tap dancer. She may not, but she just has this joy of expression and the confidence. The confidence. Life has not slapped her down, and she's from a show business family, so she's modeling all the time. So of course, it's no wonder she's going to become a movie star eventually. Even in 1926, I'm writing the scene where she goes to Norman Studios in Jacksonville, Florida. I didn't even know such a place existed before my research. Don't get me started on the research rabbit hole I'm on right now. But there's a direct
Specialized knowledge,
line.
sweetheart.
There's a direct line between a little black child in Florida in 1926, 2 hours down the road is a studio that was filming what they called race pictures during this very tiny window of time when Black cinema was its own thing, because there were Black theaters in like Chicago and like Cincinnati. Like all the major cities had Black theaters for reviews, stage reviews as well as films that were made not always by them, but by allies for them, free of stereotypes. The stereotypes got pushed back, and this is before talkies. Talkies came and ruined a lot for everybody, but they really ruined that burgeoning industry of what we called race films. And I'm not sure there was ever anything quite like it again after talkies came out and Hollywood took over the messaging of how Black people are and how Black people act. And we're still trying to crawl out of that. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, it's actually one of the downsides of integration.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean, I guess you could look at Blaxploitation, even though that was full of stereotypes. It was a similar phenomenon in that those films were made for Black audiences, and then once that went away, the parts go away. Anyway, I'm just putting all my frustration and all my disappointment into my novel. We're not alone in facing disappointment, but it has been so much fun to connect to that child within who is full of joy. And of course, look at me. Look at me. Of course you should look at me, world. I'm so exciting. I'm and I think as adults, we could all stand to give ourselves a dose of that joy and energy and belief and understanding that we are so special. Whether or not people tell us that, we are so special. Okay, I'll shut up.
no, honey, if we, I hope that somebody will go back and play that back, what she just said. Because if you play back what Tananarive just said, you will see every single one of these principles. You'll see it right there. You'll take a look at the magic formula and you'll say, oh, yeah, she did this, did this. Her parents helped her do this. This is how she keeps her mood, when things go wrong. This is what she does when things are right. Take a look at this and start looking. When you hear people that you love talking about their lives, start looking for how they use this. That's right. That's right, sweetheart.
Yeah,
So
someone wanted to see my shirt. This is from a bookstore in Oakland called Sister Sci-Fi. I don't know why. It's just one of my favorite shirts, It's
I can't imagine why. All right, all right. So let's take a look, and You're so funny. You're so funny. You ain't slick. Yes, you are. You're incredibly slick. So I'm going to share the screen again. We're going to go back to share screen, and we're going to go here. All right. So boom, 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 boom. So we've gone through desire, faith, autosuggestion, which is just self-talk, specialized knowledge, imagination, organized planning, and making a decision. And you will note that this is in a very specific order. Look at it in this order. Find out where the broken link in your chain is. The magic formula is more global. It's not, it's not in that order. This is. The step 8 is persistence. Is persistence. What you will notice is that people who succeed keep getting back up and trying again and again and again. And I think that of all the qualities that if you have persistence, you show me somebody with persistence who is coachable, who is willing to empty their cup and listen and try what they're being asked to do, I can take that person and turn them into success. Persistence, the ability to keep going, keep going. It requires desire and faith. Their internal voices have to be in favor of it. They have to know enough to be able to have things to try. They have to keep imagining a world that does not exist currently so they can keep moving in that direction. They have to have plans, otherwise, they're not really being persistent. And they have to have made the decision. So in some useful ways, each of these steps is dependent upon the steps before it. The 9th step is where things start getting really frisky. It's the mastermind. The mastermind principle in Think and Grow Rich is said to be the only known way to compensate for lack of ability. You don't have enough creativity, you don't have enough intelligence, you don't have enough money, enough education. If you can create a circle of people who have different skills than you have, but all of you are interested in creating the same change in the world or similar enough change. They're all involved in the same project or they're all doing similar things. So they're willing to commit and you can offer them value. Why should they meet with you? The idea is that when 2 or more minds meet in a state of complete harmony, they create a third mind, a super mind that is bigger than either of them individually. A good marriage is like this, absolutely. A good friendship, a good business partnership is like this. You can deliberately aim at becoming expert at this, at building teams, at being a leader. If you can get these people to work with you, you're on the same level as anybody else on your team. So there's no reason for you to feel insignificant. I'm not smart enough. I'm not this, I'm not that. If they'll work with you, you're right there on their level. They're willing to accept your leadership. They're looking at you as someone who can guide them to something that they want. That's a magnificent thing, the mastermind. Now, these first 9 are the ones that are practical and in some ways mundane. Starting with number 10, you're starting to get into some esoteric stuff. So I can talk about 10, miracle of sex transmutation. And the thing that's interesting about it is that there are dozens of different books and hundreds of articles and so forth on the subject of Think and Grow Rich. Most of them will not talk about step 10 directly. It's almost a forbidden chapter. They will use euphemisms. They'll say, oh, it's about your marriage or about your relationship. No. It is saying that sexual energy is life energy. The only thing that is more powerful is and is more urgent is our urge to survive. That if you can think about the most urgent sexual experience you've ever had, the most urgent desire you've ever had for that connection, and you can take that desire and go back to step 1, I'm going to take the amount of desire I have to make love to my sweetie after I haven't seen her for a month. That amount of desire, that's what I'm going to
All right
generate every
now.
day. That's the amount of desire that I'm going to take, to this thing that I'm trying to do. Because why? Sexuality is about nest building. It's about continuation. It's about life. Have that level of connection for the thing that you desire, the goals that you have. And you are as close to unstoppable as you're going to be. So, desire, faith, autosuggestion, specialized knowledge, imagination, organized planning, decision, persistence, mastermind, and you go after it with everything you've got. Just that monomaniacal drive that sexuality produces. That's the way to look at this in a mundane way, and it touches on some esoteric things. And I will tell you the first esoteric thing that I heard about this that convinced me that I wanted to study it back in the day. This is, 35 years ago. This one teacher said, okay, what you do is, if you want to know about what sexual magic is, let's say you want a house. So you get a picture of the house that you want, and you and your partner both visualize that house. And what you do is you imagine that house as you're making love, and you hold that image in your mind all the way through the orgasm. And I sat back and I said, oh my God, you've just created a Pavlovian stimulus response loop between the most powerful positive sensation that your nervous system is capable of processing and the goal. You're that. Okay, teach me more. I want to know about this. So this chapter in the book, written back in 1925 or 1930, was so far ahead of the curve that it's really difficult to even state. And this guy was so far ahead. Step 11, the subconscious mind. And now we're getting into things where really we have a hard time with language. If you get to step 10, you're doing great. You don't go to step 11, 12, and 13 unless you have the previous steps in line, because this gets into California woo-woo. I mean, it really, really does. So it's the link between the finite mind and infinite intelligence. So it's the notion that our mind is actually linked to a larger mind that has all the answers we want, the Akashic records, however you want to look at it. Number 12 is the brain. And here it's implying that the brain is a broadcasting station and a receiving station for thought vibrations. This is connecting with other human brains. It's also, hunches and things of that kind. Like I said, he's getting into esoterica. And you're much safer if you start with the more basic ones until you've mastered that. Then you can start looking at these. In each of these steps, by the way, you can find books on each of these individual things. And most books on self-improvement are nothing more than one chapter, in some cases one page of this book blown up into a full book. It's amazingly dense. And the last step, the sixth sense, is the one that is probably the most difficult to talk about directly. It basically is just the, how do I put this? If you have your map or model, if you're taking action, in other words, you've integrated these previous steps, and you have gratitude, you're opening your heart. Intuition, instinct is the gift of the belly brain, the survival drive. Intuition is the gift of the spirit that senses the entire pattern of the world, even if you can't put your finger on it. It's like an ant on a globe. The ant might be able to sense the shape of the entire globe but cannot see it. But that enables you to predict some things that are going to happen. That wisdom as a sensitivity to patterns that the conscious mind can't quite hold on to. If you go through these: desire, faith, autosuggestion, specialized knowledge, imagination, organized planning, decisions, persistence, the mastermind, the miracle of sex transmutation, contacting the subconscious mind. Remember the connection we said between the imagination and the unconscious, subconscious mind, the brain as a receiving station and a sending station, and the sixth sense, that sense of ultimate wisdom and a sense of the shamanic sense of how the universe works and the ability to stand and own the entire thing. What Napoleon Hill did when he did this, and what I took into the magic formula, which is my version of this, which is you have a map or model, and of course, the Think and Grow Rich, I'm saying for people who want to make money, perfect map, perfect map. Taking constant action, deliberately generating positive emotions every day, constantly clarifying your intention, both short and long term, and being sure that your actions and behaviors and intents are in alignment with your spirit, with your true being. If you were to have the magic formula and also look at this and ask yourself the kinds of questions that I've been asking, well, how does this relate to this? How does this relate to this? You are in essence brainstorming with yourself, and you're brainstorming with the greatest minds in history if you have chosen your map properly. The Think and Grow Rich pattern works like gangbusters, but you will find other patterns. You want to be a writer, you want to be a race car driver, you want to be this, you're going to be that. You find the people, who succeeded at this, and you figure out how do they think and feel. Because what I promise you is that if somebody's getting different results than you're getting, and they started about where you started, they think about life very differently than you do. They have different action. They take different actions. They have different emotions. And if you will dig into them and learn what it is they're doing and start taking those actions, your life is going to change. It simply will. So, that's a lot of talk right there. So, hands up. First of all, is this good? Who enjoys this? Are you having a good time? Is this working for you? Do you feel like this is valuable? This is contributing to your lives? Because I
I
love
saw
this.
someone in chat saying they were going to be replaying this one, so it seems so.
Fantastic. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You understand that in going over these things, I force myself to think through them. I'm also just want to give thanks to my mother from the bottom of my heart. She could not give us money, but she gave us love and she gave us hope. And she got me started on this path. So I am honoring my mother. I'm honoring that little boy inside me. I'm looking at my life right now. And I'm honoring you that you're now part of for this time, you're part of my mastermind group. We're talking about this together. You bet you are. And I think that's fantastic. Ross Merker.
There it is. Yeah, I understand you had to go fast because you had to finish the whole thing before 1. But yeah, there are definitely a couple points you hit. Lisa and I were kind of caught up on something and missed what you said about decision that was really strong. And then there was another chunk that I was
Well, ask any question that you want, Ross.
the number 7 decision thing.
Uh-huh.
Where successful people make decisions. People who can't make decisions don't have values.
No,
Is what
no.
Shakir is
Okay, here
saying.
we go.
Yeah.
Let me go back over to it. Successful people tend to make decisions quickly and change them slowly. Unsuccessful people tend to make decisions slowly and change them quickly. What I said was that the capacity to make decisions quickly is an indication that you have clear values. You know exactly what it is that you want and why you want it. You don't have conflicts between them. In other words, if I like steak more than fish, and those are the two choices on the menu, I'm not going to have a hard time saying steak. If I have had too much steak, or if there's several different steak dishes, I might then prioritize inside them, well, which one have I had most recently? Because I like new things. Or which was the one that I like the most, because I want to repeat another experience. Those are all values. So if you find yourself, you also can have different beliefs that are in conflict. You might have a value that says, I value intimacy, but I also value freedom. And I have a belief that intimacy, a connection, a relationship diminishes my freedom. Now your attempt to create a relationship will be in conflict with your desire for freedom. So the entire parts party in Ericksonian hypnosis is about getting the different parts of your personality to talk to each other. Okay. If they talk to each other, it's like, freedom meet, meet security. Security meet creativity. So a person whose actions are out of alignment with what they believe about themselves, you look for that. You look for your beliefs, your values, your positive and negative emotional associations, your value hierarchies. That's right, Nikki. Congruence. The degree to which you're kind of simple. I think people should be kind of what I call potatoes in that sense. You're just solid. This is just what you are. So does that make sense, Ross?
It does. Thank you.
You bet. Okay, let's see who's next. Okay, let's go back to Otis and then Nick.
Hey, I just wanted to comment really quick. I've been reading the book, but I didn't realize that it got up into levels like the Sixth Sense and redirecting sexual energy and tension and things like that. And I guess I didn't read an overview of the book, but now that I know that it gets all the way there, I'm more inclined to like work on this faster. I think it's really cool.
It really, it's amazingly cool. And the 40-minute condensation does not mention sex specifically. It talks about the
Hmm.
power of being in the right relationship. So it kind of references it obliquely, but take a look at that chapter in the book. I mean, the book is free. You can find it on, in a free PDF, and you look at this
Yeah.
stuff and you realize, my God, nobody was talking about this at that time.
Hmm.
This is advanced. It's
Right.
really amazing. Okay, so and that's great. And so let's go to Nick.
Just wanted to access the Talk Steve AI. I just tried popping it in my browser. It doesn't go anywhere. Where do I find that?
www.talksteve.com.
Got it. Thank you.
You bet. You bet. Yeah, I don't know what I'm eventually going to do with the AI, by the way. Part of me is just having fun programming it with, I programmed it with almost 1.5 million of my words, in terms of essays and lectures and stuff like that. And it's not bad, so I'm thinking that, I'm kind of letting you play with that, talksteve.com, but eventually it'll probably be behind a paywall, for one of the courses or something like that. I'm not really sure. We will see. So let's see. Nick, is your hand still up or did you forget to take it down? Okay, he took it down. All right. So let's see. Nikki, you contributed
Yes,
something earlier, and I would love to get your thoughts.
I did. What do you mean?
Uh, didn't you say something in chat?
I said a few different things in
Yeah.
chat.
So do
Um,
you have any questions or comments or requests or anything for us?
uh, so I did start reading the full book. Um, and I'm glad that I own it because there's some chapters I'm going to need to go back and revisit. It is really challenging material. Um,
So talk to me. If you look at these things,
yeah,
desire, faith, autosuggestion, specialized knowledge, so forth, you probably have a sense, oh, I have a weakness there. What is the first
yeah,
level on which you're seeing a weakness? You have
desire.
desire. Oh, so you're having a hard time
Right.
just getting in touch with your desire.
Yeah, and I think I emailed you a little bit about
Mhm.
it. And I'm trying to be grateful for coming to the realization instead of blaming myself for not doing it sooner. It
Okay.
it
So,
came around when my brain was ready for me to realize that I just you talk about persistence and what is the burning desire, the thing that you will always do. And I'm like, I don't know. Um, and so the first goal that I have, the first desire that I have, and I think you wrote earlier in the week was to have a goal for clarity. on what your desire was. And so that's what I'm working on. I
Be
spent a lot
sure.
of years just chasing other people's desires and trying to
Yes.
be the person that they wanted me to be to serve
So
their
let me ask you
desires.
let me ask you a
So,
question. Let me ask you a question. This is important.
mhm.
Why did you do that?
I thought that was the way to first to love and approval. And the second is that I trusted the wrong mentors who didn't have my safety and heart ranked very high in their hierarchy.
So, the first desire you need to have, you want to get in touch with your desire, hold your breath. By about 20 seconds in, you're going to start feeling desire for that next breath of air. That's what desire feels like. The next thing is
Hmm.
to realize that the primary goal we all have is joy, to be happy. So, first get in touch with what desire is simply by holding your breath, and you can practice that 5 times a day. You just slow your breathing down until your body starts saying, what the hell are you doing? Give me some air. And then remember that you're supposed to have that desire for being happy. So that would take you to the next step, which is faith. Faith that you deserve to be happy and can be happy. If you have the desire to be happy and the faith that you have the capacity to be happy, then you can move on to the next step, autosuggestion. That's how you build your faith. And the morning ritual where you are walking and chanting and visualizing mentors who believe in you and tell you you have the right to defend yourself and to feel safe, because that's where it starts. You move away from pain, you have to be safe, open the heart to joy, and then commit yourself to service. If you do that in the wrong order, see, what you did was you did what's called waking your kundalini up backwards. Nobody told you about this, so please don't go into guilt, blame, and shame. What you did was you gave yourself away to others before you'd given you to you. So your first step here is to give you to you. I need you to bare your teeth. Repeat after me. Okay, are you ready to repeat after me? I am that bitch.
I am that bitch.
That's right. And that bitch is who guards the garden of your heart. Your little girl is playing in the garden, but who guards the gate is her mom, a lioness, a tigress, and you are now prepared to defend yourself the way nobody ever defended you, and the way you were prepared to defend others. You do that, and you're taking a step towards who it is that you need to be in this world. When you know that you can absolutely count on yourself, not to win, but to fight. Are you prepared to fight for yourself, fight for your dreams? If you are, then you can form healthy relationships with other fighters. That's right. Shakay just said, say it with your chest. Say, I am that bitch. Come on.
I am that bitch.
That's right. If you were to look at somebody, a mugger who was trying to hurt you, and you looked at them, and your whole thing is, you have no idea how badly I'm going to mess you up. Back off. It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. That
No,
women Go ahead.
I have sent muggers to the hospital. I
There you
just
go.
um I
There
have
you go.
forgotten how to do it for my spirit.
So first be prepared to defend your body, then your heart, then your spirit. Okay? That this the game that men and women played, that game of lady and gentleman, where the guys had all the power, but that power was supposed to be at your service, my lady. We have broken, if it ever existed at all, we have broken it. So what we have now is both men and women have to have both beauty and power. We have to have both our love and our passion and our capacity to defend it. That old relationship is starting to get toxic. So if you can take responsibility for your power, then it is safe for you to express your beauty to the world. And you can have that attitude of, look how yummy I am, and you can't have none of it because you aren't at my level. Not everybody is at your level. Not everybody knows that there are relationships that go beyond the transactional. I can play, I can do the love feast with Tananarive because she's a giver. She gives back. If she feels safe and loved, she just radiates it back. But not everyone's like that. And you have to learn how to spot the people who are not. And to be able to say, I have this beautiful open heart, but I've got an alligator in my pants. Do not try to get at me without my permission, and don't think you can take something from me that I don't want to give. And that's not about assault. That's about abuse. That's about neglect. The little girl inside you does wants what she wants to know is, will mommy fight for me? And I don't know about you, but I would rather fight a black belt than a woman protecting her child. You open that part of you, and you know right down to your core that you have something beautiful and precious, and no one has the right to tell you who you are, and that from this moment forward, you're going to move away from pain, protect yourself, then and only then open your heart. And once your heart is filled with love, you give to the world from your overflow. You don't give to the world from an empty bucket. You connect yourself to the source of your life, which is that desire that you can get in touch with in 20 seconds. Once you get the joke, the meaning of life is to live. The next question is, how shall we live? And hopefully we live together in joy and communicate, but never forget that the first step is simply acknowledging you have the right to be alive and happy. You have the right to be happy. And when you are happy and you are safe, you give permission to everyone around you to be happy. They're wondering, is it possible for me to be happy in the world? Is it possible for me to love? Is it wrong for me to take care of myself? And when you walk like a lioness, when you walk through the world like a tigress, you give other women, you give your sisters hope and faith and the knowledge that they are divinely given the gift to protect themselves and also be loving and sensuous and fun. But first, be safe. First, be safe. And you will be safe the instant you realize, well, let's say I was safe the instant I realized I would rather die than let anybody hurt me again. Period. And if you mean that, then you are either free or dead. And that's all it costs. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
You are more than welcome. You're entitled. This is your heritage. I don't even exist. It's just you, sweetheart. You pulled me into your existence, and you are the one who is listening. And you will take as much as you can carry away. And I hope you can feel how much I would love for you to be happy and safe. With all my heart, I would stand between you and anyone who tried to hurt you. It's who I am. It's all that I am. You are not alone. Make contact with your heart. Love yourself 100%, and you'll find what you need to open your heart and be joyful. This is all we're doing is building a community of people who will take care of themselves enough to be able to be nutballs. I'm a crazy man. I'm nuts. I cry and want to watch cartoons. I mean, because I feel safe. You were not always safe. You gave your heart to the wrong people. So now you give your heart to you. Fair enough? All right. Woo, that was a good one. I love that. So, who else? Comments, questions, requests. We got 11 minutes. We could do some good work in 11 minutes. Who's there? Well, I've got to check in. Is Shikaja still here?
I
Oh,
am, but I'm like in the bed, and so
there's
I
nothing
can't
wrong with
come
that.
on.
You
Okay,
don't have to come
so
on. How you doing, kid?
I'm doing okay. I am getting ready to get through my finals in school, and then I will be getting back to my story.
Uh-huh.
So I want to get that done like right away as soon as school is over,
Good.
and um, progressing. I'm working on I'm going to say the metaphysical parts of me.
Okay, nothing wrong
I'm
with that.
taking everything that we've been going through. Um, I'm actually going to embrace all of it. I read Think and Go Rich twice in life already, years ago, decades ago,
Hmm.
and I read Dennis Kimbro's version as well as
Well,
the original
yes,
version.
that's
Mhm.
right. Yes, that his version is just fine. It's
It
just fine.
is. Yep. So, but I was very young when I read it, so I
Yeah,
don't
so
think I.
do it again.
Yeah.
Absolutely do it again because you will look every time I read it, I pick up something new. And I've
Yeah.
read it dozens and dozens and dozens of times. So if you grew up, unless you grew up in a family where people were healthy physically, loving, and made a ton of money doing something they loved, in all likelihood, you have negative beliefs and negative associations with some aspect of it. So the unconscious mind will stop you from absorbing information that you're not ready for. So
Yeah.
one of the reasons why this is a very valuable thing for me to bring this up is that I know that I am not operating at my peak efficiency. I know
Mhm.
I'm operating at efficiency beyond what I used to. Okay. I want to operate at peak efficiency in the time I have left, at the very most I can do. So every one of you who is on the same page with me, who I can talk to about these things, you're helping me. Does that make
That's
sense?
cool. Absolutely. Yeah. I think we all live with a duplicity. I teach and it's a lot of work. I'm a single mother. That's a lot of work.
Bless
I'm
you.
the person, thank you, who has to take care of all of the bills, and that's challenging. So, but I know that through meditation, through prayer, through aligning myself with some higher things, which is going to take time to get into alignment, and then the work of staying in alignment.
Yes.
But I feel like I've landed in the right place. I get to be here every Saturday talking about
Yay.
progressive things. So I know that I'm on the path. So
It is
that
so
keeps,
beautiful. I am so grateful to each and every one of you who comes here on Saturdays. I mean, it really is. This space is not ordinary. I don't
no,
have a lot of spaces like this, okay,
yeah.
where I can just be myself, both my strength and my weakness, both my softness and my fierceness. I can just be Steve here. And I want everybody here to feel like they can just be themselves too, but at the same time, let us yearn for a better world and let's create a better world by creating better worlds for ourselves as individuals and our families. I was raised by a single mother. Single mothers are sacred to me.
Thank you. We need that sacredness.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything I can do to support you, anything I
Thank
can
you.
do. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you're receptive to me and you let me give to you. And God bless you. And I'll see you next week. It's
I'll be here.
fantastic,
Thank you.
fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. So there's a Bob Black Business Flags. Who is that? Is there somebody there?
Yeah, that's me. I'm driving right now, so
Oh, okay. So how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Okay, any comments, questions, or requests about anything that we've covered?
No, I'm just enjoying the conversation, and
Fantastic.
yeah, that's it. That's great. I love
All
it.
right.
I'm going to
Well,
be sharing it with other people that I think
please
need
do.
to listen. do it as well. Yeah.
Well, I think
Thank
that's
you.
fantastic, and drive safely, and we'll see you the next time you're here.
All right.
All
Thanks.
right. So let's take a look at, those 13 principles again, because I think that it is useful to ask yourself, just like you look at the magic formula and you say you want to make sure that you don't have a break. You have a map, you're taking action, you're having positive emotions, you have a clear goal, and your goal is congruent. It is expressive of your soul, your spirit. You want to make sure you don't have a break in any one of those. There's got at least a one in every single one of those. The 13 principles of success consciousness seem to me to be in an order where you can start at number one, get in touch with your desire, and then look at your amount of faith. And if you have faith, great. If you don't have enough faith, you can use the principle of autosuggestion to generate faith. And then once you've got those, you go out and you get specialized knowledge of how to do the thing that you want to do. You become an expert at the thing that you decide to do. You should know as much about your field as a doctor or a lawyer knows about theirs. The 6-step life writing process we set up is kind of designed to get you to an AA degree. Let's say that publishing a story from time to time is like having an AA degree. Having a career at some kind of level, being able to publish regularly and make enough money to really impact your bills and you maybe even support yourself, that's like a master's degree. You want to go beyond that. You want to be an earth mover. You want to have, be a bestseller. You want to write a classic. You're talking about either having multiple master's degrees or having a doctorate. If you decide to earn a doctorate, the equivalent of a doctorate at the thing that you want to be really great at in life, the average person stops before they get an AA degree. You're literally going to find out that there ain't much competition. That the people you're competing with are other people who are so deep into what they're doing. And remember, to get a doctorate, you have to write a dissertation or thesis, a master's thesis, doctoral dissertation. That means you have to become the world's greatest expert at something that nobody cares about but you. I mean, not, just joking. You have to become a world-class expert at some tiny little fragment. That becomes your specialized gift to the world. That becomes the thing that, John Grisham in law and Michael Crichton in medicine and technology. And you find, John D. McDonald was a world-class expert on political structure and economics in Florida. That Octavia Butler went deep into reproductive biology and understanding how that related to the construction of societies. Once you've got that kind of knowledge, you use the power of imagination to bang different pieces of it against each other and see what sticks, to create a new idea. In other words, once you've got your new ideas and you have an idea theory about how you can make this work in your life, you create plans. I'm going to do this, and then I'll do this, and I'll do this. And you watch and see whether or not your plans are working. You make a decision that once you get started, you're going to continue, that this is what you're going to do. This is who you are. I made that decision about writing in college, where I decided that I would rather fail as a writer than succeed at anything else. And I know the exact day it happened. Once I made that decision, nothing else was ever the same. And you will have to keep trying. You will need persistence. Remember all those other earlier steps. You're constantly looking at this stuff. Every day you could look through every one of these, and it could take you 10 seconds to, what you could look at each of these in just a couple seconds. So in under a minute, you could literally say, I have the desire. Am I in touch with that? Do I believe I can do it? Am I saying the right things to myself? Am I learning new things about what it is I'm trying to do? Am I brainstorming possibilities? Am I creating plans? Am I solid in my commitment? I made that decision. Am I taking constant action? Am I brainstorming with other people in my mastermind group? am I putting everything I have into this? As much as I put into, my God, I just met the most beautiful woman in the world, and I think that she almost likes me. What can I do to get across that line? Are you in touch with your deep self? Do you, if you're taking those intermediate steps, your intuition and your instinct should start waking up, and you should start getting information that is not directly through your senses. And then that sixth sense, it is that thing. There is a place where you have achieved mastery, where you just feel it. The great martial arts expert who seems to know what the student is going to do before they do it. The artist who seems to have insight, into new ways of looking at the world. The inventor. Shikaja raised her hand.
As quickly as you can. I know we're in the last minute, but
Yeah.
my goal is to learn how to honor my voice and to develop from that place. How did you come to a place where you decided that you were going to honor your voice?
Okay. Let me tell you a story. This is a story that I put into the book, Magic Formula. I used to do a lot of odd things. And one of the things I would do is I would go to workshops that had, if I could learn anything, I would go to that workshop if I thought that it would teach me something about myself. And I became addicted to them. And one of them, quite frankly, was workshops on sexual magic. I've touched on that just a little tiny bit. And let's just say that these workshops were not theoretical. They were very powerful. If you look at how much you can learn about yourself just by holding your breath until the carbon dioxide level in your blood goes up, at which point you start hitting panic and desire for that next breath. If an orgasm is the most powerful positive sensation you're capable of processing, it's clear that it can have some impact. And the cultures that have looked at this have said something to the effect that the intensity of an orgasm is in direct proportion to the amount of ego that you let go of at the moment things are happening. In other words, if you can remember your name, it wasn't good sex. So I went to this advanced workshop with a lady I'd never met. A matchmaker kind of set us up. This was 30 something years ago. And lovely lady, we had a great time at the workshop. Other people were having problems. There was sexual dysfunction and arguments and stuff like that. But she and I, let's call her Mary, Mary and I got along great. There were no problems at all. We were just having a wonderful time. Then about 5 days in, it was a 10-day workshop, about 5 days in, we started having arguments. We went to the guy who was running the workshop, and he gave us some exercises and we sorted it out. And things were okay for about a day and a half. And then the arguments happened again. This time it was worse. I mean, it was just, and we went back to the guy that was running the workshop. And I said, I don't know, she's messing things up. She's doing this, she's doing that. And he looked at me with pity. She was sitting like a queen. I mean, just, perfectly balanced. He looked at me and he said, no, brother, she's just fine. You're the problem. I said, what is it? And he said, you're afraid. And I could not accept that. I could not accept that. What was there for me to be afraid of? All I was being asked to do was go in my cabin and make love to a beautiful woman, and I was terrified. How could he even say that? See, the thing is that most of the time, if I was afraid, I could find the fear inside my body. This was bigger than that. This fear was bigger than me. I was in shock. I mean, it was as if I was going to be executed the next day. And so I sat there shivering, in touch with this irrational terror. And I said, what can I do? And he said, you go talk to a tree. Well, the talk to the tree exercise is very interesting. And I would suggest it to anybody. If you're in a forest or a park, you go to an area where there aren't many people, but from time to time another person walks past, and you find a tree. And You talk to it. And while you do that, you sort of observe yourself. And what you're looking for is, what is the difference between the way you are when it is just you and the tree, or if another person comes by? And that the secret to success in life, or one of the secrets, is to be as natural with other people as you were when it was just you and the tree. Well, this is some real California woo-woo stuff, but I am from California, so I went ahead and tried it. And the workshop did take place in a mansion that was in the middle of kind of a forest. So there was an area where there were people that will come by sometime, but other times you'd be by yourself. And I went out and found a tree that looked sympathetic. And once again, I understand totally how this sounds. And I leaned my head against that tree and sobbed my eyes out. And I said, I don't know how you do it. Whether it's cold or hot, whether it's rainy or snowy or the sun is shining, whether people love you or hate you, you're the same. How do you do that? And in some way that is difficult to say, the tree answered me. And the tree said, I'm just a tree, man. My roots go down, my branches go up. This is all that I am. And at that moment, I got it. The cost of carrying your masks, the cost of carrying your armor around with you, the energy that you use to carry your mask is the same energy you need to actually become the thing. That you can either worry about what people think about you, knowing that it is impossible to get everybody happy with you, that no matter how happy with you they are, you're still going to get old and die. When you make your peace with that, it stops being worth it to be anything less than as magnificent and wonderful or flawed as you actually are. That there is nothing in life anyone can offer you that is worth being less than yourself. Does that help, sweetheart?
It does. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So I would like everybody to unmute yourselves and say goodbye, because I'm going to kick back and then I'm going to take my wife to a play tonight. So unmute yourself, say hi.
Bye,
Everybody have a good week.
Wonderful week.
See y'all in 3
Everybody.
weeks.
Bye.
Hi,
Awesome.
Beth. Hi,
Yes,
Steve.
all those things.
Take
Bye,
care.
Hi,
everybody.
Nikki.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And
Hi,
I would like
Russ.
to thank you, as always, with the Sanskrit expression. It says that the divinity within me salutes and acknowledges the divinity within each and every one of you. Namaste. Take care.
Namaste.
Be well. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.